Welcome back to the dungeon. Today we're talking Gung Fu and my thoughts on my Fu journey as of today. So, yesterday I did a tournament with the school. They do a yearly tournament, it's just the school only. So, you're competing against other people in your in the school or sister schools, and it was pretty fun. Um, we did forms, we did open hand forms, we did seminar forms, and sparring. And I participated in open hand, weapons, and sparring. And you can see one of the first place trophies there, and the other one's in my son's room. I got first in open hand and first in weapons, and did not place sparring, sadly. Um, I wanted to talk about the system and the way they do sparring tournaments. So I think sparring is, as that it's going to be a novel concept right now, very necessary for any practitioner of any martial art, for them to be serious about the martial component of the martial art. Otherwise, you're just punching in the air and you just don't care. I know that firsthand. I did like 4 years almost of just by myself practicing when I first began my journey into the Kung Fu lifestyle and martial arts stuff. And it was really good for me honing all of my fundamentals, how to kick, how to punch, flexibility. I started out probably a lot better than a lot of people who just start and are around my age into any martial art. That being said, it does not prepare you for it does prepare you to some extent, but jumping into sparring, even the super lightest of sparring, is completely different, and applying all those concepts you learn and which ones work best for you. So I love sparring. I've fell in love with it as soon as I first did it, and it is the best part of martial arts in my opinion. Even when you get your butt handed to you, you learn, and it's good stuff. So that being said, I did my first tournament last year, and it was still pretty new to sparring. I'd only sparred maybe a few times before, and it's point sparring for the Kung Fu tournament and the way they do it. And last year it was interesting because I was still pretty fresh into sparring world. 1 year later, I've done a lot more sparring. I've done Muay Thai sparring. I've done Muay Thai as well, and so I've got a little more taste of what it means to take the pain and apply technique. Not fantastic by any means, but I don't have that bounciness of excitement and jitteriness when not jittery because I wasn't really ever nervous, but when I look at myself first sparring, I'm very trying to never get touched, and a lot of that's kind of dissipated. Not all the way, but a lot of it's dissipated now, because it's just you kind of get used to the rhythm, the touch, the movement, the pressure. So when you do point sparring, it's just a completely different world than what you call, I guess, continuous sparring, or even just practice sparring. And point sparring is all about being, I think, linear, being bladed, and making sure your hand or leg is as far out as possible to touch the other person. And to me, I'll be my honest opinion about it now that I've done 2 of them. I don't think it is the best. First off, it's cool looking, and it's a cool sport, but I don't think it's the best method of testing out your martial skill, in my opinion. Especially Kung Fu, which is not necessarily a bladed system. I mean, there's a bunch of Kung Fu systems, but especially the one I do, the Shaolin Do, and the ones I practice outside of that, like Wing Chun, or even doing like traditional animal tiger forms. You're not bladed like that in when you practice forms. You're square, you're this, you're you're very square to your opponent, which is not how you do in point sparring. Point sparring, in the most ideal world, you're like this, or you're throwing a kick out, and I can spar like that. Absolutely, I like being bladed sometimes. I like to I like being square as well. It's fun to switch it up to practice both styles of the way you position your body and how you have to position yourself to your opponent. But point sparring is not, and maybe take it from me. I mean, I lost, so could be that wah, you're complaining. But I do think that it would be better if we did continuous sparring more. I think that is, number one, a lot more fun than point sparring. Number two, you can punch, I think, a lot more. I mean, you don't have to worry about being touched so much because you can throw a punch. You're going to go in there into the pocket. You're probably going to take a hit, but then you can throw your pressure. You can put your pressure, right? You don't have to just worry about the first contact or whatever. Even the little graziest of grays touching you, and then the round, you have to reset. Another thing is, our coach or the person overseeing the match felt like he took forever for some of those decisions to decide whether or not there was a point or not a point. You only get 2 minutes continuous nonstop to do your whole match, so they're like that. They're in and out. You're not really there very long, which is fun. That can be a fun exercise, I think, but I don't know, when you get serious about martial arts, I feel like that's not enough for a person. It's never enough to just be there for that half. You're really only in the moment for maybe like a total of 30 seconds total. That's not, for me, not nearly enough. I want to be in there. I want to feel it a little more. I don't want to be there forever, but I want to be, testing out my food, being in there and really enjoying it. So I will try to find a outside tournament. Sadly, I don't know if it was, but I think I missed registration for a WAKO kickboxing tournament this year. It was in town, although it just disappeared off their website, so I don't know if it canceled it, but in any event, I couldn't go. So looking forward to something else in the year. Maybe I can do Muay Thai Development League. I've heard that that's really good and good, for me, beginner friendly, or does someone who doesn't want to get their shit rocked in a real Muay Thai match. Really good stuff. So, I would like to do that. That would feel more up my alley, and I can implement some of my food. Even in Muay Thai, I do it all the time in sparring. I try not to be the guy who's just doing crazy Gung Fu shit. I'm there. I'm just trying to learn, keep my hands up, develop a good martial art. My own food. So overall, good stuff. I love doing the forms. I love spinning my staff. Love doing, a little bit of crane stuff, white crane system. And I love doing it in front of people, so that's fun. And then it was good to win first place on both of those. For Muay Thai, I've had a hard time getting into class just because of work. It's always the days I do depositions, and I've had a lot of depositions this year. So it's made it hard, and I'm thinking about maybe quitting. I don't want to, but it's a waste. If you only go a couple times a month, that's a waste of money, honestly. Although I really do enjoy the pressure of it, the class. It's a good balance to the more relaxed nature or less contact nature of the Gung Fu class I go to, which is more Taolu forms, which gets me extraordinarily tired and beat, but it doesn't put me as much that pressure that you need to develop yourself as a martial artist. I feel there's not enough of it there, and I'm hard pressed to make there's one a week sparring classes. And even when I do, I feel like sometimes I'm not really gaining too much because it's a little soft. People a little older, they want you to go lighter. And I don't like heavy, hard sparring, but I do like it a little more heavier and harder than what we do there. So we'll see as things continue, but it was a good tournament. It was fun. I had a lot of fun people there. Very supportive group of people. I'm hoping maybe in my tenure there I can possibly add some continuous sparring. If I could add continuous sparring, chef kiss. It would be perfect in my opinion. But we'll see come next year. And ideally, I will be up in the black belt level at that point. And maybe they can do it a little more hardcore. But that is the journey so far, where we're at. Keeping my food strong, keeping my martial arts strong, and just trying to be better every day. Train every day. Keep training. Rock and roll.